Everyone, please welcome Manny. Manny is going to talk about Malapert City and a bold vision of what is possible. While Manny is talking, I ask that you please mute your microphone and keep your video off. And at the end, you can all ask questions. And I ask that if you post in chat if you have a question, you can either write the text and I'll read it out, or you can say I have a question and you can unmute and ask yourself. So, all right, thank you. Off to you, Manny.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for coming in and to watch my presentation. It's welcome to Malapert City, a bold vision of what is possible. I do hope to deliver on the vision being bold. What we're trying to do here is go beyond a lot of the projects that are currently more prominent about going back to the moon. And these are sort of lunar bases and research facilities and so on. We want to look a little bit further ahead, 25 years to the year 2045, and ask the question, what could we build if we really got serious about building a city on the moon, a large-scale permanent lunar city? And to me, that's the demarcation point. That's the threshold at which we pass over to becoming a space-faring civilization, establishing the first permanent large-scale facility off Earth. So just a little bit about my background. I do consider myself a lunatic. I don't think that's a disparaging term that was used by Ben Boville when I attended my very first space conference in Las Vegas back in the year 2000. And he gave a talk and he greeted all the attendees as fellow lunatics. So a lunatic to me is somebody who's crazy about the moon, and that certainly describes me. Professionally, I'm an electrical engineer, so I do have an engineering bent on these things we're going to be talking about. I've also been involved with space advocacy ever since the year 2000. I joined the Space Frontier Foundation back then and have worked for them. I ran 2 Return to the Moon conferences, organized them. I ran 2 of them for, again, Space Frontier Foundation, and done a number of other things. But back in 2004, I founded a company called Lunar Explorer. I'll be talking more about that in the next slides. And more recently, I founded a company called Virtual Moon. And the name is kind of self-descriptive, but we will be talking about Virtual Moon a little bit more as well. So Lunar Explorer was something we're very proud of. I consider it a breakthrough product. It's the world's first fully immersive interactive virtual reality simulation of the moon. Now remember, this is 2004. There was no such virtual reality, but we built Lunar Explorer as a fully immersive virtual reality system. By the way, it still runs on today's Windows 10 computers, and I will be happy if you get in contact with me, and I'll have my email address in my last slide. I'll be happy to give you a link to a downloadable version that you can run on your computer. Here are some sample screenshots just to give you an idea of the sort of the look and feel of what Lunar Explorer was and is. We used a very rough, low-resolution data set from the Clementine mission, which was the only complete data set of lunar topography available at the time. So we used the best we could, and again, then we pushed the technology to its limit, and this is what we came up with. We took Lunar Explorer to many space conferences all over the place, and we had it for sale on a number of websites. The gentleman on your upper left is Robert Picardo from Star Trek Voyager. He had a chance to visit and walk around on the moon. The gentleman on the upper right-hand side is Burt Rutan. This was a few weeks after he won the Ansari X Prize. Our objective with Lunar Explorer, as is with Virtual Moon, is to go for maximum accuracy, maximum realism, and the best visual experience possible. So you'll see the 2 objects at the top of the screen. One of them is Charlie Duke's family photo. The other one is the monument to the fallen heroes. These objects you can actually find as you walk around on the lunar surface near the Apollo sites, you'll actually see these objects on the ground. And we had more ambitious plans for Lunar Explorer. We wanted to create lunar roving races in simulated 1/6 gravity. And we did a lot of work on that, but we never got a product to market. So that's basically a snapshot of Lunar Explorer. Oh, one other thing I should mention, we were invited by Dr. Charles Ilachi, who at the time was director of NASA JPL, and we came in, brought our equipment to NASA JPL and gave a demonstration of Lunar Explorer, and they seemed to be impressed. That's what they communicated to us. All right, so that's a little bit of Lunar Explorer. So we now, our new project is Virtual Moon. Again, the name is self-descriptive. We want to create a virtual replica of the moon that people can go and visit and experience immersively as a virtual reality experience. Now, as part of that, of course, we're going to create the entire topology of the moon. And since we're going to be talking about Malapert City, I wanted to give you some reference. Again, many of you that are attending this presentation, who are fellow lunatics, you probably know a lot about Malapert already. It's a very interesting place. It's 86 miles from the lunar South Pole on the 0 meridian. And it's a very tall mountain. It's 5,000 meters above the mean lunar surface ellipse. And at the top of Malapert Mountain, there's a relatively flat plateau, about 10 square kilometers in size, with a very gentle 6-degree slope. And I heard about Malapert in one of the presentations at one of the conferences I attended, and it was being promoted as an ideal place to build a permanent settlement. Now, one of the key concepts of Malapert City, and again, we're going to talk about it some more, but that's the fact that we want to build it as a vacation destination, as a tourist destination. So Malapert provides spectacular vistas of the lunar South Pole region all around Malapert from a very high vantage point. The other big advantage is it's a peak of eternal light. The sun shines on the top of Malapert Peak about 90% of the time, so it's very rarely darkness. And also because it's at such a high latitude, near the South Pole, the Earth sits very low to the horizon. So for tourists that want to visit the moon, one of the reasons that people may want to visit the moon is to be able to look up, to strain your neck, to look up, straight up into the sky. That's an ideal place for Earth observation. This slide gives you the approximate location with a red dot of where we plan to locate Malapert City. Now, this is an early concept of what Malapert City was going to look like. It's going to be built underground. Almost this entire structure will be built underground. Only the surface observation dome will actually sit on the surface. But the reasons for building underground are obvious and have been covered by other presenters in this conference. But the idea behind Malapert City is, you know, I ran a couple of conferences and I attended many other conferences, and I always saw all these ideas being talked about and promoted, but these ideas were always disjointed and disconnected, and the conferences ended and people disbanded. So I wanted to try to create, as part of the Return to the Moon project, try to create a focus point, a catalyst for ideas, like a whiteboard to try out new things and have people contribute and iterate this design until it became an actual buildable design, something we could build in 2045. So this gives you a view of Malapert City in relation to Malapert Mountain. And you see it's embedded into the mountain at the very top. And so the entrance is at the forward end here. And as you get deeper into the Lunar City structure, it goes deeper and deeper underground. So these are some of the important features that this first large-scale lunar city will have. These are like very high-level requirements and specs. We are planning to develop a set of more detailed specs. But again, the idea here is to elicit contributions from experts in all areas and collaboratively design a real workable design, create a real workable design that can be built by 2045. Now, a very critical aspect of this is it's limited to current and near-term technology only. So only existing technology or technology that we can reasonably expect will be mature in the next 10 to 20 years is allowed to be usable. Again, going over the primary structures here, there's a main horizontal tube or tunnel, which is about, in this scale, 600 meters long. And there's a central atrium, which is designed at this point to be 50 meters high and 150 meters in diameter. And inside, it'll be designed to completely remove the concept that you're underground. So the ceiling of the entire facility would be lined with screens that can mimic blue skies on Earth. So you'll have the feeling of being outside. It's intended to have plenty of green plants and grass and trees and just create a really welcoming and warm environment, because again, this is going to be a destination for people to come and vacation and to have an adventure. It'll have, you know, luxury accommodations. Essentially think of it as a mini Las Vegas on the moon. People who come visit there will obviously be curious about what it took to build such a place and what are the technologies that make it possible, like the life support systems, the power generation, thermal management, communications, and so on. And all the tourists that visit these facilities can take tours given by tour guides and experts and have all of these features explained to them. They can go on various surface excursions to visit interesting places and experiencing being outside. And again, they can sit at the surface observation dome and socialize and look out and look at the Earth from the south pole of the moon. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with this famous quote from Arthur C. Clarke. I view virtual reality as that kind of magic technology. I see it as sort of a teleporter with infinite range. It can take you to any place in the universe. And besides that, it can also be a time machine. So it can take you any place or any time in the universe. And because of these capabilities, that's what we want to use to build Malapert City, which is an important point that I want to make. Malapert City is actually going to be built. If only in virtual reality, it will be built. And so we want to leverage the virtual reality technology, and Virtual Moon has partnered with a very prestigious and very experienced virtual reality company called eSpaces. And I'll show you some of the work they've done for us already. But the state of the art of the technology is evolving so rapidly that we think very, very soon we're going to be able to create photorealistic experience of being on the moon. So you take a photograph like this one and you recreate the scene completely synthetically in virtual reality, and you display them side by side, and you should not be able to tell the difference. We're not quite there yet, but we have no doubt that very, very soon the technology will evolve to that point. And when it does, we can basically teleport you to the moon. And we hope your reaction will be the same as this guy. If you look at his mouth, it should be a jaw-dropping experience. I mean, that's what we're going for. The level of realism, the accuracy, and just the fidelity of the moon simulation. Visually, it should be identical to you having visited the moon. You should feel like you have been to the moon after you experience virtual moon. But it's not just about visual simulation. There's a trend in the industry right now. Digital twins as a concept is very, very hot right now. So basically, you can take any real world object and create a digital simulation of that object, a digital twin. And essentially what you need for that is a lot of data. You need to know exactly how the object behaves in the real world. But if you have that data, you can then build your digital twin and simulate how it works in the real world, simulate its operation, simulate various inputs, and see that the outputs are correct and correspond to the inputs that being used. And also you can connect a lot of these digital twins together. So that was a digital twin of an airplane. So you can have a digital twin of a jet engine. And so then the jet engine is incorporated into the digital airplane. So you can have hierarchies of these digital twin systems, and there's virtually no limit to how complex the hierarchies can get. And you can actually create a hierarchy of an entire city. And actually it goes way beyond that. There's an ongoing project to create a digital twin of the entire nation of the United Kingdom, which is mind-blowing, but there's no limit to what you can do with digital twins. So using digital twins, not only can we create a visual simulation, we can actually create an engineering simulation of all the systems and all the technology that it will take to build Lunar Explorer, to build Malapert City. So this was generated for us by eSpaces for Virtual Moon just within the last 3 days. We just got this 3 days ago. This is a view of Malapert. The brightly lit mountain is Malapert. And looking northward, you see the Earth almost fully lit straight ahead. Now I'm going to leave the PowerPoint slides just briefly and take you to the live website where this is being hosted, which is right here. And you can see that one of the things I can do here is there's a slide at the bottom where I can select and move the sun around in the sky. And you can see the dynamic shadows moving as the sun moves in the sky. The Earth is also rotating because obviously as you move the sun in the sky, you are sort of simulating lunar days. But one thing I wanted to point your attention to is look at the top of Malapert Mountain. As the sun moves around through its entire cycle, the top of it remains lit almost constantly. And so this is a simulation of the South Pole area of the moon, which is about 200 kilometers in diameter, centered on the South Pole. So the entire South Polar region is already simulated here. We'll do just a quick jump to another location. This is more of a larger overview of the South Polar region. And again, this is all accurate, the most accurate topology available from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. So we are thrilled with this. Lunar Explorer was too early on and we could not do dynamic shadows. And to me, this is magic. So we'll go back into the presentation. And let me just show you again the location of Malapert and looking northward in the direction of the Earth. And that's from a view looking eastward towards Malapert. So looking to the left is north towards the moon, towards the Earth. And the reason we're doing this is because we are also passionate about doing whatever we can to help move us along towards a spacefaring civilization. So I took a screen grab of James's presentation yesterday, and I can tell you that all the goals that are embraced by the Moon Society are our goals also. We fully embrace all of these, and so we plagiarized your your goals. And we want to add another one at the bottom, which is we want to create these very compelling virtual reality experiences to give people a real personal, direct, and visceral experience of being in space. Again, we want people to feel like they were actually there. So our primary drive is towards realism and accuracy and fidelity. Real quick, in my previous job as working with radar systems, I came across this device, which is a traveling wave tube. Traveling wave tubes are really interesting devices. Basically, they take a stream of electrons, which are modulated. So they're bunched up in some places and less dense in other places, and they feed the stream through a coil. So the electrons induce currents and fields in the coil, and then the coil in turn induces fields and currents in the bunches of electrons as they travel through. So the electrons start out somewhat bunched together, but then because the coil reinforces the original modulation, when they come out of the other side, they're bunched much more densely, and the sparsely populated regions are much more sparse. So it essentially amplifies a signal by thousands of times. And I think this is a really apt sort of simulation of the relationship between actual reality and real reality. I think that virtual reality can influence real reality by transporting people into the future and giving them access to these visionary ideas, open their minds. And when they come back, they have a new perspective. And so reality influences virtual reality by developing and perfecting the technology, but virtual reality in turn can influence reality. And through this method, we can get closer to that future that we all hope is within our grasp, which is, again, to become a spacefaring civilization. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I do have some information on the screen. I invite all of you to visit the eSpaces site, and you can experience being on the South Pole yourself. And we're also looking for participation. So if you like this project, if you like the ideas behind it, you want to contribute and participate, please get in touch with me, and we'll start this project going in a real and serious way. And with that, I'll thank you very much, and I'm open to any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? Phil says, excellent, double exclamation mark.
That's nice, thank you.
Would you be able to, oh, never mind, it's right here, in the bottom right corner, that moon.espaces for that simulation. Cool, thank you.
Okay, John has a question. John is asking, will multiple people be able to interact virtually in your city?
Yes, absolutely. You can invite your friends and go touring Malapert City with your friends, and even go on surface excursions with them. It's going to be a fantastic experience. I mean, we have an amazing team of people, which includes Jeff Hoffman, the former NASA astronaut. We have someone on board who was a former VP of Disney Imagineering. We've put together a team of people that's going to ensure that this is another breakthrough experience. It'll be a Lunar Explorer, but so much more improved and expanded in capability and features. So we hope to invite everyone to come to the moon very soon, maybe within the next year. We probably won't be ready to hold the next Lunar Development Conference virtually in Malapert City, but maybe 2022, would like that.
Okay, we've got some new questions. Francis asks, how does this feed into an online platform?
Well, once Virtual Moon is activated and put online, then again, we're going to allow people to come and visit the moon anytime they want, completely free. They can experience the moon, they can visit the Apollo sites and so on. But then, you know, there's a lot of other experiences that we can layer on top of that. So, you know, social interaction with family or friends. We can host virtual meetings and conferences on the virtual space in Malapert City. We can use it for STEM education. One of the plans, one of the features to be designed into Malapert City is going to be a lunar academy for students to learn all about lunar science, but not just lunar science. We have a lot of cool ideas for hands-on laboratories. Like there'll be a lab where there's a desk with a sort of a glass cube, where inside the glass cube there's zero gravity. So people can learn about how objects behave in zero gravity by playing inside this glass cube virtually. And we have, again, many other ideas for really creating new experiences in STEM education.
Thank you. We have some new questions. John asked, do participants need VR equipment?
No, Virtual Moon will run on any platform, including your iPhone or your computer, but obviously the real way to experience being there is in an immersive experience. So yeah, virtual reality headset is going to be it's going to be a spectacular way to experience this.
Do you need to go, Manny? Looks like
let me just put this off a little bit. I can call them later.
Okay. We need to wrap up shortly anyway, but there's a couple of long form questions in the chat we didn't get to. Manny, can you see those?
In the chat? No, I'm not seeing the chat now. Hold on. Participants. Okay,
down the bottom, there's a little chat icon.
All right, one from Phil Hewitt.
So I guess what I'm saying, so maybe copy paste them. I suggest all of you jump onto Slack and you can all talk there or email too. Yeah, that's fine. All right.
Yes, anybody that I didn't get to answer your questions, please email me. I'll be more than happy to continue the conversation.
All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you all around in the conference in other talks.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.